Welcome back to Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this afternoon I'm delighted to be joined by Kevin McCluskey and Laura Bradburn. Laura, we could have been sitting here, like realistically, talking about a 6 or 7-0 deficit there. That was an astonishing first half performance by a Celtic side missing some proper stalwarts. We spoke about all the changes. We've gone out and we've absolutely steamrollered this Kilmarnock side in the first half. Missed a penalty. Consolation goal near the end of the first half. We're not going to throw the toys at the pram about that. But 4-1 at half time. What a performance by Celtic, Laura. Sorry, Laura, you're silent. I don't know if you're on mute or... Here we go. Can we hear you now? I'll throw that over to Kevin just while we sort out your audio issues. Kev, 4-1 first half. Unbelievable performance.
Absolutely incredible. John put it in the WhatsApp chat we've got here, and I've got the same kind of comment that all my notes in that half are pretty much just goal, goal, goal. It was sensational. We spoke a little bit before the game, and you're thinking Kilmarnock are going to sit back, they're going to be really stuffy, make it difficult, be hard to break down. This could be one of those games where you need to rely on patience to get through it. Within 15 minutes, game's over. Pretty much 2-0 up. We've absolutely blown them away with some of the football. They've been awful, to be honest, right? So many individual mistakes, but we've got to be there to capitalise on them. And every single time they've made a mistake, we've pounced in it, we've got in behind, and we have just been so ruthless and clinical. We've even been generous enough to miss a penalty, and we're still 4-1 up and looking outrageously good today.
Yeah. Now, Laura, just to test the sound, do you want to give us Flying Without Wings or something like that?
Yeah, I could do that.
Would it be the first time you've sang on this show?
Yes.
You've given us The Greatest Showman before, I believe.
And I'm still gutted they never went with that, by the way. I still think that was a better option, but anyway. This streaming malarkey, I'm a bit rusty at it just now, so apologies. Apparently you need to make sure your microphone isn't muted before you start talking, but...
Sometimes, yeah, it's good to check that. However, I'm going to throw this at you. At 26 minutes, 26 minutes on the clock, Celtic are 4-0 up and Kyogo's missed a penalty. I'm looking at this. I remember the conversations that we were having around the Dundee United 9-0 game about there's going to be a day where an Ange team dismantles an opponent so badly that we could get into double figures. And at that point, at 26 minutes, that's what I'm thinking, Laura.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to talk too much about the gulf in quality between the teams. That's obvious. But I think what I'm shocked by, and I've seen it in abundance in our team, the work rate that we have is incredible. I mean, we're 4-0 up at the time and Kyogo's tracking back to make a tackle on somebody in our own box. That Kilmarnock defence, I don't know if they're just being totally spun around that they're dizzy or if they're just not putting the effort in, but it's absolutely, they can't get near to our players, they can't get a tackle in, and when they do get a tackle in, it looks clumsy, they're giving away penalties, they're doing all sorts, and I just think I would like to see us just crack on, because I still think this could be the day. Like that 9-0 against Dundee United, they were bad. I don't think they're as bad as this Kilmarnock team. I think this Kilmarnock team are, okay, they've got the consolation goal. That's maybe been our own fault, just becoming a bit resting on our laurels. But this defence is just absolutely horrendous. Even going back to the first goal with Furuhashi, he kind of cut it back, had time to look up and go, is there a pass on? No, I don't think there's a pass on. Will I play it back to the edge of the box? No, I think I'll just shoot. And then just rolled it in. And that was it.
I know.
It was the weirdest looking goal I think I've ever seen.
You know this, right?
You're watching that one at the time. I thought he's overhit his kind of cutback. Like you're saying, the chance is gone. And the defender's just so slow to react.
Yeah.
Like you say, that whole thought process is probably one that he's gone through in slow motion in his head. He's had all the time in the world just to pick his spot, and no one's made an effort. Like they've completely given up the ghost within 10 minutes.
It's bizarre when you consider 30 minutes in, Kevin. McInnes makes a double change. It's proper damage limitation at that stage. I want to
Listen,
talk about that goal.
Fraser Murray's going to need counselling after today. He had an absolute shocker.
How many teams, Laura, have been left in a dark changing room just kind of rocking back and forward after an Ange performance? This is the latest one. I'm keen to get people's comments on this because we're sitting here at half-time blown away. I've got to say, blown away by that first half performance. Sean Fairley killed a defensive game plan and took the referee out of the equation. Exactly what we need to do in these games. Outstanding. It has been outstanding. I mean, we look at every nuance, every single game, every kick of the ball, and often, you pick up a couple of negatives along the way, Kevin. I'm sorry, even losing that goal near the end, Callum McGregor lost out in a bit of a physical tussle. There was a couple of opportunities. I think they scored the third opportunity to pull a goal back. That's all it is, though. It's just a consolation. And if anything else, it's probably going to get them, back on track for the second half to come back out in the second half. You and Boy Martin. Now, this is total football. Every player 8 out of 10, but huge praise for Matt O'Reilly. Brilliant. Beautiful. He is beautiful, it's got to be said. And David Boyle, what a performance. Kobe's progressive passing is brilliant, and Iwata's extra legs in midfield is really allowing O'Reilly to push on. That's a good point, David. And there's some great interplay between Kobayashi and Iwata as well. Now, Vincey 3, defence solid, midfield outstanding, forwards ruthless. Now, I want to talk about that ruthlessness when we're talking about the opening goal with Kyogo. I had noticed before he had scored that goal, he's obviously thinking to himself, well, we were under a wee bit of pressure, and he's actually come short. So he's ran about 60 yards to come deep for a pass, and he's won a free kick. So what he does sometimes, and I've heard a lot of people saying this, when you're not at the game, you don't appreciate Kyogo Furuhashi as full as you do, because you see a lot of the off the ball work, obviously, Kevin. So he does that. He wins his possession. A few minutes later, we score. But what he did, the pace to actually cut in front of the defence was unbelievable, making the defender look really flat-footed. The skill of the back heel to give him that time, where it's like he's got a decision. He can actually still make a decision. He can, he can square it if he wants, and he can take a shot. And then the composure, and then the finish. Unbelievable from Kyogo. And we were going on about his 50th, maybe not this season, his 30th goal this season, and that's his 29th, Kevin. It's a vintage campaign for Kyogo so far.
It absolutely is. He's just a sensational player. It's the kind of one you don't like to always compare players to like the heroes of the past, but he's the best striker that we've had at this football club since Henrik Larsson by a long shot. And he's got a lot of the kind of same traits as Larsson. I think he's got that kind of single-mindedness and determination about his play. His movement off the ball is unreal, just like Larsson's was, and his composure in front of goal is first rate. And that goal today, just sums him up. Everything about his game is like, it's like a microcosm of his game. That goal, the movement off the ball, the composure, the pace, and the way that he just makes everything look so simple. Right, he's made a fool of that defender, and he's done it with ease. And again, just to have the composure to put it away. I think he'll get his 30th goal later on this afternoon if he stays on the park in the second half. I think he'll get the goal. I
hope he does. I mean, even when he lines up, and we'll get through the other goals, but when he lines up to take that penalty, I'm looking at him thinking, he doesn't feel pressure. You know what I mean,
no.
Laura? It was almost as if he was so chilled out. He's standing there smiling. Yes, he missed the penalty. By the way, wasn't it a bad penalty? He hits the post, right? I mean, he beat the keeper was never getting to it, but he's hit the post. Maeda's kind of overran his follow-up, I think, to the point where the ball's under his feet before he gets a chance to make contact with it. But, I mean, he is a special talent. And as Kevin was saying, during the week there, Laura, we were talking about the comments that Neil Lennon made about Henrik Larsson being a £100 million player in today's money. And we were saying, well, who's been the best striker since Larsson hung up his boots for Celtic? Hardly hung up his boots. He just went and won a Champions League with Barcelona. But who has been the best striker? And he's up there. He's in the discussion. He's in everybody's minds. I mean, I think Dembele was a phenomenal player for Celtic. I think he could have developed into something really special for us. You can't forget Edouard. We can't allow that final season to taint the talent that Edouard was. We've had a lot of prolific strikers, Laura, but Kyogo's up there.
Kyogo is up there, and if I were him, I'd be looking back at some of the examples you've cited and, taking a note of caution from it. Henrik Larsson spent the majority of his career at Celtic, the peak of his career, and had an unbelievable opportunity to go to Barcelona at the time that he did, and took that opportunity, and with the ability he had, made the most of it. Dembele and Edouard could have been Celtic heroes and have gone on to not very fruitful careers thereafter. Dembele did look as if he was maybe the real deal, banging the goals in for Lyon. Didn't really work out for him at Atletico Madrid, and he's kind of fallen off the radar a bit. Edouard has just never really made a massive impact at Crystal Palace, and isn't going to get, I don't think, the big move that he thought he would get off the back of that one. So if I was Furuhashi, especially since he's a few years older, I'd be thinking, do I want to go and chance my arm where I might end up seeing out the remainder of my career on a bench somewhere and being paid handsomely for it? Or do I want to put my name in Celtic folklore? Do I want to become like a Henrik Larsson or something like that? Because the only thing stopping him at this point is the longevity. Like, Larsson had all the ability in the world, but Celtic fans loved him as much for the fact that he stayed with us as his ability. Mm-hmm. And I think if Furuhashi thinks about that, I'm not saying he will, like, there's no reason he should, but if he thinks about that, he could really become an all-time great at Celtic if he just accepts that he's got it good where he is. But it's very easy to say that when you've got all sorts of money being placed on the table for you, life-changing money that you only have to earn for a couple of years to change your family's life for the rest of their life. And I'm sure he's already getting that to an extent at Celtic, but anybody sitting here saying they wouldn't like to double their money in any situation is probably telling fibs.
See, the thing as well, Laura, is if he plays as long as Nakamura played, we've still got 14 years out of Hugo, so he could definitely become, writing his name into folklore, no doubt about it. Good point, Bajian. And how many first teamers aren't playing? This is what we were talking about at the beginning of the game, Kevin. That lineup, and you're looking at it going, oh, okay. We've been banging on about these guys like Kobayashi, like Iwata, Haksabanovic. You've got to come in, you've got to prove that you can take that jersey when the opportunity arises. And of course, we have had Carter Vickers missing today, Abada, Jota, Hatate. Yet we've gone out there and absolutely obliterated this Kilmarnock side. Now, I don't think they're any great shakes. And like we said before, they are right in the mire when it comes to a relegation dogfight at the moment between themselves, Ross County and Dundee United. They're right in there. And if St Johnstone don't start getting a few results together, they might get dragged in as well. But yeah, I just think no mercy. We're at half-time here. No mercy. Go out there and put this team to the sword, Kevin.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I think you said before the game, you're sitting looking at that team with some of the players, it's great to see Kobayashi come in, Iwata get his start, Haksabanovic. But there is a wee element of doubt, I think, at the back of your mind, though, because you're seeing the players that are missing. You're going like, Jota's a huge player. He's a game changer for us. Hatate, you would love to have him in the midfield. Carter Vickers is so solid at the back. What if they go really physical today? Can Kobayashi cope with it? So there's always those doubts, and every single one of the players has just like obliterated those doubts. They've been tremendous. Mm-hmm. Totally risen to the challenge, whatever challenge Kilmarnock have put up, been excellent, and they've blown them away. And I really, really do hope in the second half we don't lower the intensity and the tempo. I don't think Ange will allow it to happen. We speak at times as well about like maybe scoring too early in a game or having the worst time to score. Kilmarnock have scored at the worst time for them, because Ange's going to go through the players a little bit at half-time probably for letting standards slip a little bit towards the end. So they'll come out with a wee bee in their bonnet again, highly motivated, and they'll go out, and I really hope they do put them to the sword, because that's the professional way to do it. I think it's just to go out and kill them.
No mercy. No mercy.
Past them. Yeah, don't sit back. And maybe it's in the hour mark we can get to see somebody like Vata or Summers come on as well, and they can get a decent run out, and it'd be the perfect kind of game for them to come in. Very little pressure in time to show what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that the game is kicking off, so we'll go back to the action. It's 4-1 at half time. And yeah, let's put them to the sword. Let's see what we can do in this second half. Thanks, everybody, for getting involved. Hopefully, there'll be loads of smiling faces at full time. I'm sure there will be. And thank you for Kevin McCluskey and Laura Bradburn for joining me on a Celtic
You're
State.
thinking about Mark Hughes again, by the way.
Bradford, I know. You started it.